Oxford Dictionary defines swashbuckler as a person who engages in daring and romantic adventures with bravado or flamboyance. That definition perfectly encapsulates the topic of today's video. In 1998, Hollywood decided to dip into its nostalgic bag, and by that I mean that it decided to give us a true visual representation of exactly what swashbuckling done right looks like. I'm Guapo Jim, and today we're going to be breaking down the Mask of Zorro and why this Mexican-American masterpiece is a true hidden gem. So, for those of you who don't know or are too young to remember, The Mask of Zorro is a 1998 film based off of the legendary character. While this movie isn't necessarily like an adaptation of any old Zorro stories, that type of thing, it can be seen more as like a reboot or like a retelling of the character, if you will. We, as the audience, are taken to the backdrop of a changing California at the turn of the 19th century. At the center of this world, which has been shaped by, changing colonial powers and just corruption on all levels, is Zorro, who is a masked figure who represents defiance against tyranny and hope for the powerless, the regular people, saving old people, saving babies, stopping crime, that type of thing, like all that vigilante shit. Like, Zorro's your boy, But this movie, it's not necessarily just about the man behind the mask, but it's really about what the Mask of Zorro, see what I did there, represents. So basically what's happening is that years after the original Zorro has just vanished, the people of California, they do what they can to keep his legend alive, like they still fuck with him heavy. But when political and capitalistic injustice once again tighten its grip on the state, a weary but determined hero is forced to confront his past and prepare, simultaneously for the future, not just for himself, but for the people of his state, I guess you could say. Rather than reclaiming that glory for himself, what he decides to do is a lot more meaningful, and he decides to find himself a successor. My guy's old, he's like, my back, my sciatica and shit, I can't do that, so let me find one of these young bulls. What follows is a story of mentorship, transformation, and rediscovery. And it kind of takes the classic adventure and it adds the emotional weight of legacy and redemption. This movie, it really kind of makes its money on the juxtaposition, if that makes sense. So the swordplay in it, it's elegant yet brutal. The romance, there's a playful yet sincere nature to it. And all of the spectacle involved in this movie is very much grounded by all of the personal stakes invested with all of the characters. So the new Zorro, he must not only learn how to fight, but he must also learn how to embody restraint and purpose and responsibility. If you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. So in this universe, heroism isn't necessarily just about the impulsive bravado. Obviously, that's necessary in some cases, but it's really about discipline, and it's about timing, and it's about knowing when to strike and when knowing to disappear. Hey, what's going on, slime? If you're watching this right now, you're probably a fan of colorfully garbed young vigilantes protecting their home turf. If that's the case, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, would be your shit. I actually made a video breakdown about that film, and I've left the link in the description down below. Do yourself and your boy a big favor and check it out. You will not be disappointed. I also do want to add, this is a pretty small channel. So if you like this video and you're trying to help support Guapo Jim Ministries, I'm going to need you to like this video, subscribe, comment, share, all that YouTube algorithm shit. All help really is massively appreciated. With that out of the way, let's get back to some Zorro, baby. From a production standpoint, as is always the case with like Hollywood blockbusters like this movie had been in the works for probably about a decade before we ever saw it in theaters. It went through multiple rewrites, and at one point, both Tom Cruise and Shakira were actually supposed to be the main stars in it. It's crazy to think that we almost had a Tom Cruise Zorro, but like, if there's any nigga that can pull it off, I swear it's Tom. Like, I swear. With that being said, obviously he didn't take it. Antonio Banderas stepped up, and the rest is history, as they say, because this movie became arguably his most memorable and famous role. One funny part about this movie and the whole like marketing behind it when it came out, you do have to remember this was 1998. So the internet was pretty novel. Like, a lot of people weren't sure how long it was going to stick around, whatever. So because of this, what this movie did that was actually pretty unorthodox and pretty genius, as a part of its strategy, it was one of the first movies to actually use to make a website for its film. A lot of studios at the time, they looked at it and they weren't sure what would happen, but it's kind of crazy how forward thinking that was just as a movie studio. With all of that said, The Mask of Zorro absolutely killed it in the box office, both commercially and financially, with many critics actually calling it the best Zorro movie ever. This movie was so adored, in fact, that they actually ran it back and gave audiences a sequel in 2005. Though nothing has come from the sequel since then, it's still very much lauded even today. If you ever do want to check it out for yourself and see what I'm talking about, you can find it today streaming on Amazon Prime. I love this movie, man. All right, so story time for a second. It's kind of a long story, but y'all niggas are gonna let me land this plane, okay? So when I was a kid, my family and we went to New York for a wedding. Story has it that yours truly was even the ring bearer in that wedding, but that's neither here nor there. So, as is the custom in Caribbean culture, at the end of our wedding, we give out what's called black cake. Black cake, think of it almost akin to like a rum cake. It's not a one-for-one comparison, but just think of it like that in your head, you know? Me being young and super whitewashed and, not hip to the shit, I see this black cake and I'm like, oh shit, that's chocolate cake. So I'm eating this chocolate cake thinking, damn, this chocolate cake tastes funny, whatever, not knowing that it's rum cake. With that said, at the age of 8 years old, I experienced my first hangover. So this is the next day now after I've eaten the rum cake and I'm fucked up. I'm throwing up, laid up, hangover life. My dad, he wants to hype me up. He wants to make me feel better. So he's like, yo, come, we'll go see a movie and shit. The movie that we went to go see, of course, being The Mask of Zorro. When I tell you, my black ass was entranced in that shit. The flipping, the fight scenes, Catherine Zeta-Jones, who we all forget was a top tier fucking dime. When my nigga cut her shirt with the Z, I remember being excited about that as a little boy, Like, one thing with me, and this is gonna sound really strange, but like, I have always loved swashbucklers and the idea of swashbucklers. Like, think of like Captain Jack Sparrow, the Scarlet Pumpernickel, depending on how they're written, even certain iterations of like Batman and Daredevil will kind of fall into that motif. And this movie, it encapsulated everything that I love about characters like that and just the genre as a whole. But a real historical standpoint as well, like, I always loved Zorro, like, and just his whole swag. Like, not a lot of people know this, but it's like, if you're really hip, Bob Finger and Bill Kane have mentioned before that Zorro actually helped inspire Batman, the character, and depending on where you're reading, some people have even gone so far as to say, like, the whole idea of the Caped Crusader, Zorro was the first person to do that. Like, the first time we ever saw that image, it was Zorro, so that alone makes him a legend in my books. I already fucked with him heavy, like, I'm telling you guys, like, I fucked with Zorro so heavy that I even named one of my cars Tornado. Comment down below if you guys want to know the story about how I lost Tornado, because that was a doozy, thank God. I'm kidding. Wasn't that bad. But I guess the big thing for me too, when it comes to movies like this, is that there was a certain magic to it, I guess you could say. Like, they didn't feel super political. Scratch that. This movie is quite literally about a revolution, so I can't say that about this one. But you guys know what I mean. Like, the politics were solely in the movie, and they're not tied to anything happening outside. I feel like in the 90s and the 2000s, there was a certain beauty and a magic to movies, the way that they made them, and they don't always feel that way nowadays. But this movie, it still feels that way, even if you watch it today. So it's like, you guys know me, I'm always trying to put you onto some next shit. And I just wanted to let you guys know why The Mask of Zorro isn't just a swashbuckling relic of a bygone era, but why it's actually a true hidden gem. Thank you if you've made it this far. If you're a fan of this type of content, I'll need you to like, subscribe, and to comment down below which other shows or movies were true hidden gems. Until the next time we meet, stay safe. Later days.